Hello, students. A very good evening to everyone present here. Please confirm if my audio and video is clear. Please come to the chat box and type in clear in the chat box if my audio and video is clear. Hello, Amitabh. Hello, Archana. Dayalal. Yeah, very good. Perfect. So I welcome you all for this special session today. Now, as you all know, some of you don't even know about this, that we have a very important subject or an aspect to deal with in UPSC preparation. That is your optional preparation. So students, if I have to talk about in the cost benefit ratio part of it, the subject that can give you the maximum benefit for the least input, the maximum output for the least input is the optional subject. A very, very important subject which carries close to 500 marks out of the 1,750 marks of your mains is your optional subject. So today we are going to discuss about the science behind how to score 300 plus with respect to optional subject and why one of the subject is a great bet that you can choose from. Okay. So first of all, before we go ahead with that, can you all come to the chat box and type in which is your optional? Okay, type in your optional that you have thought of taking. And if you have no idea and if you have no clue, type need help so that I'll be able to get an idea. We have sociology, geography, anthropology, economics. Wow, absolutely. Great. Great. Amazing. Law, need help, confused between PSIR and public administration. Very good. Now, students, whatever is your optional, okay, how you should look at today's session is, today's session you should look at as an introspective session. Today we have with us a very important and an eminent personality in this field of UPSC preparation, who's been training from the last 23 years and who's living the life of an officer. That's what I like to tell you today. Okay. And he is here to come and share his vast experience of working with a lot of toppers and thousands of students over the years. He has understood what is the science behind scoring 300 plus in this optional subject. So before I introduce you to this person, whatever tips, whatever perspectives that he is giving today, you should check whether you have looked at your optional in this angle and keep introspecting and rechecking yourself. And whatever questions you get, at the end of the session, you'll have a Q&A round where you can ask the questions and get everything clarified. So today's agenda of the session is two things. What is the science behind scoring 300 plus in an optional, and why public administration is one of the subjects that is a great bet. So I welcome on the virtual screen my guru and today your guru, Ganesh sir, on the screen. Sir, unmute. So I welcome you on the screen, sir. Sir, can you unmute yourself? One second. Yeah, just a second. Right. Yeah. Hello, sir.
Thank you.
So thank you for making it to the session again. I welcome you again for this session to throw light upon the science behind scoring 300 plus in an optional, and how optional as a subject is very much different from general studies, and how a student should look at it and what he should do to take it forward. Sir, I am opening the session for you to share your wisdom so that these students are getting the right light to start their preparation like a top. Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you for the opportunity as well as the introduction that you have given me for. And good evening to all students and aspirants. And before I begin the session or begin to deliver my whatever I have to discuss with you, wish you all the best in your endeavor to clear the civil service examination and to become one good officer who will be beneficial to the society. So today the session what we are going to discuss is like how to improve the score and what is the signs of scoring more than 300. So there are two things which I would like to bring to your notice, or two things I would like to inform you about the scoring system or how you can improve your scoring with respect to civil services main examination. Number one, see, there is one basic framework which every student has to follow in order to answer a question, right? When it comes to any competitive examination, or for that matter, any question. Secondly, there is another important thing, but the most important thing is that every student has to have a customized strategy based on one's own skills, strengths, and weaknesses. Okay, fine. What is that weakness? What is the strength? We shall discuss about it. Because there is no one-stop solution, or there cannot be one-size-fit-all solution to scoring more than 300. See, every topper, every student who scores, every aspirant who scores more than 300 does follow certain generic aspects, and more so, he or she is customizing certain tailor-made aspects of writing answers, of approaching the exam, which again depends on certain criteria, which we shall discuss in detail in due course of time. First of all, let us first talk about the generic framework or generic aspect of the general guidelines, what one has to know with respect to scoring more than 300 in civil service main examination. See, this general framework, what I am trying to tell you, will be applicable to all subjects across the board. It will be more relating to questions, right? Fine. What are they? First of all, one has to understand that when a question is asked you and when you are expected to answer a question in the exam, every question you have to crack it and unlock the question so that you will be able to locate the answer. This is the first point, first step to be understood about the question. So you have to understand that there are certain criteria within built in the question which you have to tap in order to have a clear idea about the question itself. So what we call it as keywords, right? What we call it as keywords. Every question will have a keyword. Right? No question will come without a keyword. All questions will have a set of keywords. The keywords are, I would prefer to call the keywords, I would classify the keywords into two. First keyword is the one which will tell you what is expected of you. That is what you are supposed to do. For instance, if you go to the question papers, all of you must be having the question paper booklets with you, and you must have gone through the questions as well. In most of the questions, you would have found the question tags like discuss, comment, elaborate, explain, examine, analyze, critically examine, critically analyze, do you agree, elucidate, justify, right? Describe, trace the origin of, how far do you agree, how far is it acceptable? These kind of questions are all coming. These are the first keyword which will tell you what you must do. For instance, if the question wants you to comment, you cannot discuss. If the question wants you to examine, you should not analyze. If the question wants you to agree or disagree with something, you cannot explain that. Right? What is, see, so you have to understand this very clearly. See, for instance, why this question tag is, how this question tag is attached. See, basically, before I go into the question tag aspects and keyword aspect, let me tell you one very, very important point, which is a supplementary point to this aspect. The question setter will choose the question tag word based on the concept involved in that question. See, if there was a issue or if there was a view upon which there are two opposite views or two diametrically opposite conclusions, then the examiner may ask you to comment on that. Supposing there are no objective conclusion about anything of a particular subject, but there are different views being had, then the examiner may ask you to discuss or analyze. So generally, when there is a two diametrically opposite stands are available, you may be asked to either comment on that or you may be asked to examine it. If there are different criteria involved in the examination, then they may ask you to, they may add the word critically comment or critically examine. For instance, today we were discussing a question with the main students. One of the students asked me a question. Sir, I came across a question regarding the office of the governor. The doctrine of pleasure of the president with respect to the appointment and removal of the governor of a state is the main reason for the absence of neutrality of the office of the governor. Discuss. See, this question, why the question center is asking you to discuss, because there are different views. I can place before you a view stating that because of the doctrine of pleasure, that the office of the governor loses its neutrality. On the other hand, I can argue the other way around. No, it is not only the doctrine of pleasure. There are other multiple reasons. There can be another view. See, doctrine of pleasure has been included in the into the constitution, and the founding fathers of the constitution have not included the doctrine of pleasure without any reason. See, the Constituent Assembly debate, the constitution was made over a period of 3 years after completely debating it. So can you simply say that what was deliberated and the founding fathers of the constitution having chosen deliberately to include the doctrine of pleasure as a reason for neutrality, suffering of the neutrality of the governor? No, it cannot be. It could be some other factor. Say, for example, the personality of the governor himself. It could be because of the political conditions. It could be because of the position of the prime minister. It could be because of the personality of the prime minister and personality of the chief minister. So there are so many views. So when different views are there, the examiner will want you to discuss. I hope you're understanding. So here, what I want you to understand is, first of all, in every question, try to locate that word which will ask you to do something. Whether the question asks you to discuss, whether the question asks you to explain, whether the question asks you to elaborate, whether the question asks you to comment, what you're supposed to do. That is a primary keyword or the first keyword. See, this holds good for all subjects and all questions and for all students. So locate the primary keyword first. Secondly, there is a second keyword, which is what we call as action area. Comment on what? Discuss what? See, if you read a question, for instance, I shall give you an example. I shall share my screen to you in order to make you understand something. I hope you all can see my screen. Can you? I hope my screen
It's clear, sir. It's clear. Please go.
Good. Thank you. See, here there is a question. Governance is about managing self-organizing network. Right? Governance is about self-organizing networks. Elaborate. The first keyword here is, see here, the keywords to focus is elaborate, and it is about. Now you have to elaborate whether or how governance is about managing self-organizing network. So the focus of the answer must be on how governance is related to self-organizing networks. Self-organization as a concept. What is self-organization as a concept and how it works on? Clear? So I can give you another question also. I can show you another question. See here. The two-dimensional taxonomy was used by Herbert Simon to describe the degree to which decisions are programmed or non-programmed. Explain. The keywords here are explain. What are you supposed to explain? What was used by Simon? Used to describe. Right? So every question will have a keyword of this sort. So locate the primary keyword, which will help you or which will tell you what to do. And secondary keyword or second keyword, which is the action area, what you are supposed to, where you are supposed to do, the what which is demanded by the question. So you have to understand that very, very, very clearly. And this is the most fundamental thing which is common for all questions, all subjects, and for all students. I hope these 2 points are very clear. Right? This is a very fundamental. Once you have unlocked the question, you will know what to do. See, most of the times, see, there is a proverb. Every problem comes with a solution. So now you apply to exam. Every question comes with an answer inbuilt within itself. So you can locate the answer. Right? You can locate the answer within the question itself. The question will give you a clear-cut line of thought. See, the importance of identifying the keywords is that the identification of keywords will clearly open up your mind and gives a direction of thought for you so that you will be able to retrieve from your memory repository the answers. Right? So this is a common thing. Then second aspect, see, before I go to the second point, let me tell you, there is a proverb, well begun is half done. Once your keywords are identified and you have understood the question, beautiful, you are done with it. Right? You are done with it, and your answer will automatically flow. Then, secondly, then what you have to do is to remember, most of the times, in most of the cases, well-read and well-prepared candidates fail to score better marks because they tend to write answers unplanned. Right? Never ever do that. Planning your answer and visualizing it. Now, planning is different, visualizing is different. Let me tell you what is planning. Generally, for essay, every student will plan. First of all, what you do, you will try to understand the subject topic. Then you will try to jot down points. So, which are all the points I'm going to write with respect to this essay? What will be my core points? So, the same thing you should apply for your answers as well. And mind it, as of now, today, you are given only 10 markers and 20 markers. At the longest answer, what you will write will be 250 words, 25 marker question. And even essay, it has been split into two. So previously, it was one essay out of 4 or 6 topics, which you will have to write about 1,000 words. Today, they don't require you to write 1,000 words. They require you to write 500 words in 2 topics. So for each topic, you are going to write only 500 words. So the number of points you require will be limited now. So the advantage here is that the number of points you require is enough.
Excuse me, sir, there is a lag in your audio and video.
Which is very limited.
So there's a lag in the audio and video. Please, if you could check. Yeah, students, just a second. We will rectify the inconvenience. Is my audio and video is clear? I hope my audio and video is clear.
Just a moment.
Yeah, okay.
Sumant, is that okay now?
Yes, sir, you're fine, sir. It's clear. Thank you.
Fine. So now, let me repeat the point what I was telling. See, once you have identified the keywords and understood the question, you must plan your answer. Planning your answer means you should see, basically, if you want to write 100 words, 3 points is enough. If you want to write 200 words, 6 points is enough. At the max, 5 points is enough. 200 to 250 words can be written with 5 points. So you have to only gather the 5 points. After having identified the 5 points, you will have to organize them appropriately. Which point is first, which point is second. This organization is very, very important, because this organization will give you a proper structure and make your answers appearance good and make your answer interesting. That's one important thing. Then, after having planned organizing, think about the introduction, how you are going to start your answer. Where will you begin? How will you begin? Correct? And once you have done it, you should visualize your answer. How, after writing, how your answer paper will look like and how your answer is going to be. This visualization you have to do before you put your pen on the paper. All right, this is a point number 2. This has to be done by everybody. And remember, this you will do. This is a very fundamental technique that you will employ for anything and everything in your life. Now you want to buy groceries for your home. What will you do? You'll first sit and jot down the list of articles to be bought before you go to the store. You will not just enter into the store and then start writing, what you're going to buy or what is required. So all that what you have to do is that you have to prepare the list and go. Otherwise, your purchase is not going to be scientific. Your purchase is not going to be rational. You'll be ending up spending more than what you need to. Right? So that is, or otherwise, there is a possibility that you will miss the most vital thing, and which will cost you more in terms of time, money, and effort. So that's a very fun. That's why I told you this is a very fundamental technique which you will employ for in your life, even in the ordinary things. Fine. Then, after having planned, sir, now the question is, how do I plan? You're saying planning, everybody says that. How do I plan my answer? It's very simple. See, when you look at a question, you can categorize the questions into 2 broad categories. The questions which require views, the questions which require only facts and knowledge. For instance, comment, discuss, examine, analyze. That these are the questions which will be, how far do you agree? Do you agree? Justify. These are the questions which are views-based, opinion-based questions. These questions will be having multiple views. Minimum, every such question, you can have 3 different viewpoints. One for the statement, one against the statement, and third could be a neutral one, balancing the 2. All right. And there are other category of questions which are factual and conceptual, where you will have to write only, for instance, if you take geography, there may be both questions possible. In case of subjects like sociology or public administration, you may not have factual, very less number of factual questions and more opinion questions will be there. Whereas in geography, you will have fact questions as well. Right? What are the features of the peninsular river? You cannot have a different opinion. But there are questions relating to geography. They have asked this question: what are the characteristic features of peninsular rivers? That the peninsular rivers have a different characteristics than the Himalayan rivers. While the Himalayan rivers are perennial, the peninsular rivers need not be perennial. There are non-perennial peninsular rivers as well. Right? So likewise, there are certain fact-based and concept-based questions for which you will not have opinions, where you will have to recall. Right? So now, let me first take up the opinion-based questions. When it comes to opinion-based questions, how can you begin your planning? You can begin your planning with conclusion. Right? You can begin your planning with conclusion. What conclusion you are going to give? First, you decide whether you are going to agree to the statement, or whether you are going to conclude, whether you are going to take a conclusion that will be against the statement, or are you going to balance it? Think about it and define the conclusion. Now take all the 3 conclusions and gather the substantiating points for each of that conclusion. That will do for you. Right? That will help you to properly plan your answer. Now, let me again share my screen to show you how this opinion-based question conclusion will work. See, predominantly, I'm taking public administration question, right? And if you have any GS question with you, I can tell you how to crack it so that you will be able to understand how it works. So look at this question. Fayol and Taylor had different management perspectives while having similar goal of organizational efficiency. Comment. So now there is a comment. See, people of public administration who have read public administration will know that this statement is a totally, perpendicularly opposite views are there. Right? So comment means I have to give my comment. What is that I have to comment upon? That they had different managerial perspectives while the goal was similar. I have to comment whether they had different perspectives with similar goals. Now, what conclusion I am going to give? I may conclude that yes, they both had different management perspectives, but their goal was the same. I can say, no, their management perspective was different and therefore the goals were also different. I can say, balance it. There were certain areas where they differed from each other, though their goal was, though their management perspective, see, there were certain areas where they concurred with respect to management perspectives, and there were areas where they had differed. Similarly, they had, when it comes to organizational goal of organizational efficiency, they had in certain areas, they had minor differences. So these three conclusions, minimum I can take. Based on that, for each of the conclusion, if I gather 1 point, I'm done. I'll have 3 points and 3 different paragraphs. Now what I have to do is to make an introduction and a conclusion. Conclusion, I already know whether I'm going to take a balanced view or I'm going to favor the statement or I'm going to disfavor the statement, agree or disagree with the statement. Accordingly, I would have taken the conclusion. This is the way you can, right? This is the way you can formulate your answer. So when it comes to planning, it's always better or it's always easy to plan with the, for example, I have the GS question. I'm now sharing my screen to you again in order to show you a GS question, how it applies. Say this is a question of 2018. Look at this first question. Safeguarding the Indian art heritage is need for the need of the moment. Comment. Comment is a view-based question, opinion-based questions. Now you can say the first keyword is comment. The second keyword is safeguarding the Indian art and heritage is a need of the moment. Is it a need or not? Now I can say yes, there is a need. I can say no, there is not. There is no need about it. It is already well and good. You don't have to be worried. Third, I can balance it. Though Indian heritage is strong, does not require any special step towards safeguarding it. In the present context of globalization, in the present context of the social change and the new generation, it is better to keep take certain measures to safeguard the Indian art heritage. I can always go for the balance. Now I am thinking I should go for the balanced one. So now why? Now first point, what I'm going to say is, now the conclusion, what I'm going to say is, this is what the Indian art heritage is well rooted in the Indian society. The values of the Indian art heritage is not is so much deeply rooted in the minds of the people that it cannot be separated from the lives of every Indian. So therefore, Indian heritage had been surviving ages, had been surviving all odds, and so it will be surviving in future as well. This is the conclusion I'm going to give. Now, how do I begin my answer? So the conclusion, I'm clear. So remember, conclusion is the first one to decide. Then plan for your, then you search for your points. And introduction is the last thing to be done. Remember the Constitution of India, the preamble, which is a Introduction to the Constitution of India was the last part to be made. So your thinking process should be like that. After having understood what you're going to write, now you have to appropriately begin your answer. I hope it's clear to you. So what I will say, why Indian heritage? There is no need now, right? There is no critical need now for safeguarding Indian heritage. It is not endangered. For that, I have to give one substantiating point. Number two, however, given the age of globalization and given the age of cultural interaction that is taking place very fast today, it's better to have certain measures taken to safeguard the Indian art heritage, because there are certain Indian art heritage which are getting lost. For instance, the matkas. That nowadays though the matka thing is coming up today, but who will manufacture the matkas? Right, the earthen pottery utensils. There are certain particular in particular parts of India, there are certain art of making this wooden earthen pottery. For example, there is a Nizamabad area in UP where you get the black earthenware. So that has to be safeguarded because it is found only in that place. So such areas we have to win, because in the era of globalization, the Indian art heritage may be subjected to exploitation by the corporates, multinational corporates, or it may become extinct because there will not be people who will be well versed, or the art might not have been transferred and inherited by generation. So those areas we have. Now the third point is, there are certain positive points, but there are also negative aspects. So we have to say what. So this is how the answer flows. Now I have not written anything. I have just visualized the answer and I have explained to you. I hope it's clear to you. Am I clear to you all?
Students, you might type clear in the chat box if sir is clear. Is the approach clear?
Yeah.
So it's a funnel approach. So
yes.
as you rightly mentioned, it's a funnel approach where you design your opinion, build on your arguments, and come to an introduction as summarizing the whole thing. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, fine.
Perfect.
So there are other questions, as I told you, which are concept-based questions and fact-based questions. And these questions you cannot have much of, as I already told you, given the explanation as to the difference between, the characteristic features of the peninsular river. That you have no other view. You don't have any leverage to give your opinions. You will have to make only. Right, you have to only make. Yes, Manish, you are right. No, Manish, your first point is all right, but not required that you have to balance all the points. I was just giving you an example that there can be three different views. So basically, what you have to do is, in the factual or concept-based questions, you will have no leverage, but you will have to go from your repository. Now, these are all the generic points that you have to do. And the fourth generic point that you have to do is that, remember, there is a lot of difference between, or how to differentiate an answer which is a general studies answer from that of an optional answer. What differentiates is the jargons. We call it as jargons, or the subject-related terms. Right? The jargons. Sociology has its own jargons. Geography has its own jargons. Public administration has its own jargons. Right? Every subject has its own specific subject-related terms that you will have to mention in order to improve the way the answer looks. So that's very, very important. So for instance, with respect to sociology, probably you may say collective conscience. In public administration, you can use certain public administration terms like as quoted by, so there are many jargons which are related to public administration, political science, or anything. That jargons must be used in order to improve. The jargons may be sometimes concepts. let's say bounded rationality is a concept. You find bounded rationality concept both in public administration as well as in geography. Right? You can use a term. Where you have to use appropriately, you have to use the jargons. And thirdly, another important thing, what is generally you have to do to improve your answer writing is to quote the thinkers, especially in all the subjects, optional subjects. The second paper is connected to India. So in the Indian system, if you are able to quote the concepts and thought process thinkers which you study, about who you study in the first paper, then it will become a beautiful answer that will be well acknowledged, appreciated by the examiner. And another important thing is add some, wherever possible, add some current developments. You will be studying current affairs as part of your general studies preparation. Everything is based on current affairs. And if possible, when you give examples, when you give some examples, quote some current aspects. It may be like some judgment of the Supreme Court, or it may be any current development, or it may be any current event that would have been taking place relevant to that particular question. So these are all the generic things which normally you have to do, everyone has to do with respect to scoring. Now coming to the second part of the answer writing, that is customizing, strategizing. See, when it comes to strategizing, every candidate is different. First of all, you assess yourself what kind of a personality you are. There are people who like analysis. Their bent of mind be more analytical. Such people should try to choose more of opinion questions. Second is, there are certain other people who will be, more fact-oriented. Sir, I'm not comfortable with analysis, but I'm more fact-oriented. So you must choose concept-based questions, right? You must not choose the analytical questions. Wherever possible, try to use it. This is point number one. Point number two. See, every candidate will have, you will have certain advantages. You need to yourself. For some, it would be language. For some, it would be, so for some, it may not be language. I don't have flamboyant language, sir. My vocabulary strength is very low. Try to write answers simply. Right? Try to write answers very simply. For some, the handwriting could be one of the best, the strength would be handwriting. For others, it could be the handwriting could be a weakness. For who the handwriting is weakness, try to understand. See, sometimes you can change, or you can make some modifications in the way your paper appears by changing the pen with which you write. So these are all very fundamental aspects. See, there are pens which are very thin, and there are pens which are very medium in size. There are pens which are little. See, if you look at the lead of the pen, this one, the lead of the pen. Sometimes there are sharp pens. For few, if you use the sharp lead, your handwriting will be good. For some, if you use a bold lead, it would be. Try to understand that. But these are all the things they may appear to be very simple, and it may appear as though I'm talking something which is not connected to the exam at all. But remember, this makes a lot of difference. Then your language, your handwriting, and your analytical mind or factual, what kind of personality you are. So accordingly, you choose. Some of them need help in respect of choosing optionals. For you also, this is very much relevant. If you are analytical bent of mind, you can choose very well, choose public administration. Somebody was asking whether PSIR or public administration. If you are an analytical oriented person, go with public administration. It's very, very easy to, because public administration is a very young subject, right? It is hardly 100 years old. The content is very, very less. The syllabus is very, very limited, and the syllabus is more oriented towards current affairs. Once you study the concept, it's once and for all. See, while studying paper one itself, you can cover paper two also. You'll be studying only once. For example, recruitment, you will study in paper one in personal administration. Same thing, recruitment in India. When you study the concept of recruitment, just you will study how recruitment is done in India. So that way, the way you study and the time you will take for studying public administration is very limited, and it helps you in paper 2 GS, governance as well as in ethics. So public administration help you in this way. So check with your personality, right? And your weaknesses, forget about them. See, don't worry about your weakness. Sir, my vocabulary, see, your weakness can always be strengthened. It can be offset by learning. If your language is bad, you can always improve your language. If your handwriting is bad, you can always improve your handwriting. And another important thing is every candidate must try to strategize or design a strategy for yourself from where to see it is about the syllabus. If you see which are the areas, if you have chosen PubAd as your optional or sociology as your optional, in which area you are strong in, you have to choose those questions first and you have to strengthen yourself. See, for few, it may be sociological thoughts. For example, somebody has taken geography as optional. He or she may be very much interested in physical geography, but may not be interested in political geography. So there is no point in you fighting with the political geography. Strengthen yourself with respect to physical geography and settlement geography, wherever you are strong in. Now you have to find it out. This is your own thing that you have to only find out, right? And once you are good at that, once you know what your strengths are, once you know what your capabilities are, and once you know what your weaknesses which are to be offset, nothing can stop you. And this is what exactly the toppers do. Remember, winners don't do different things. They do things differently. So try to understand this. This will be helping you to score more than 300 very comfortably, right? And now I think I'm clear about things. And if you have any questions, I'm open for questions. You can tell me.
Right. Great, sir. Thank you. It was an excellent session. Every advice was like a bomb that has so much potential to make one shoot to be a topper. And I have also, students, this is how you have to make notes. And I've been posting the notes also on the chat. So in this context, sir, the question I have for you is, one question I have for you is, if I'm a total beginner and I'm starting with the UPSC preparation, now should I do it on my own if I have a graduation background, or should I do it on my own by just exploring myself? Or what is the purpose of having a mentor and working with a mentor when we have so much resources online? Would you like to take that question, sir? Yes.
See, basically, there is a question from Hari Yadav. He has asked the right question. Sir, how to write mains answers the prescribed word limit? Now, how will you correct it when you don't have a mentor or when you don't meet your teacher? So I can deliver lectures over phone. I can I can shoot my video lectures and post it on the YouTube, or I can share the videos to you. You can see that. But see, writing is an art. Basically, when it comes to writing, writing is an art. An art cannot be learned through theories. Right? Yes. Art is learned through trial and error.
Yes.
You will have to, you will have to go see. For example, if I'm a mentor, if I am your mentor, let us say, what I am supposed to do or what I will do. I hope. Interestingly, let me ask you a simple question, or let me try to tell you one important thing. Why do we call the centers where you go to prepare for civil service examination as coaching centers and not call them as schools? The basic difference is coach is a strategist. A coach is a strategist. A coach will help you to formulate a strategy that will work for you. A coach is one who will understand. I told you, every candidate is different, right? And a coach can help you how to shape your own strategy, how to formulate your own strategy. So that's the reason why it's better to go with a coach. It's better to go with your mentor. 1, 2. The mentor will be able to identify your weaknesses. He can do a SWOT analysis, and he can do the SWOT analysis and help you overcome that. And 3, whenever you are writing mains, see, basically any competitive examination is a psychological game. Napoleon Bonaparte says every battle is won in the minds, not on the field. A war is won on the mind, not on the field. So it's a psychological game. When the psychology is an important factor, a coach or a mentor will always be able to help you out in that. You will be able to tap the time, effort, as well as the experience of the mentor to keep your psychology up. That's why I strongly believe that it's better to go with a mentor rather than with without a mentor, though many resources are available today. Yes. I would say today you guys are suffering from information glut, whereas there was a period when there was information gloom. Your problem is oversupply of information. At least to classify the information and to ensure that you are traveling on the right track, the mentor should always be there and you should always be with the mentor. I think so that
Perfect, sir.
answers your question.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you so much for that clarity. Students, I hope you have a question of this on your mind, and I hope that got clarified for you. So I open this session for questions.
Yeah.
Please raise your hand so that I can unmute you so that you can ask questions to sir and get everything clarified. Okay. So please raise your hands so that I can unmute you. Manish, I'm unmuting you. Manish, please unmute yourself. Manish, are you able to unmute? Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
Manish.
please.
Yes. Hello, sir. I have two questions. One is like, if suppose a question has been asked and we are asked to comment on the particular question, and the question may be having a thought of two differences, as you mentioned, whether it may be having a positive approach or maybe negative approach. So what if a candidate writes in his approach in a negative way, but the examiner thinks in a different way that needed to be that the answer should be in a positive way. So I believe that he may lose some marks because of that approach, because the examiner is thinking in different way and the candidate is thinking in different way.
Okay.
So this is my question, like how then we have to write for that type of particular questions.
Okay. Now, Manish, this fear is something that everybody has, and this is unwarranted. First of all, you understand when such questions are being asked or when such examinations are happening, I type the word in the chat box, they have something called as rubrics. A rubric matrix. For instance, I am setting questions for, say, public administration. And I am giving a question which is opinion based. I am supposed to give the key, the possible answers if the opinion is for. And what are the points if the opinion is against? Right? And what are the opinions? See, this rubrics they have. Say, for example, I'll tell you, when it comes to ethics, there are few questions asked which are very, very personal. If you go to the ethics paper, they're asking you, what does happiness mean to you? Do you think that anybody will write the same answer? And there is another question that was asked in the mains. What do you understand from the term crisis of conscience? Have you, narrate an incident in which you suffered from crisis of conscience and how did you resolve it? And everybody is going to write altogether a different answer and no answer is going to be same. How do you think they will award marks? So,
I'm confused. Yeah.
So they have a formula, they have a rubric for such questions, and for every question they have a rubrics. So basically, you don't have to be worried about it. Examiner does not have big discretion. See, the examiner's discretion is limited to only maximum of 15% to influence your answer. Maybe he may not be liking your handwriting, or if you are striking and repeated overwritings, that may be irritating somebody. To that extent, only minor variations. But as such, the subject matter of the questions, the question setter will give the key, and every answer sheet in the mains is concerned, as far as the mains is concerned, is being evaluated twice, and an examiner, if you see, the examiner has to justify why he has awarded a particular mark for a particular answer, and the chief examiner will endorse it. So you don't have to be worried about it. Is that clear, Manish?
Yeah. Following question, like as you explained us about the Indian art heritage, whether it is important, we have to protect it or not. So if we conclude that no, Indian art has been already protected and we need not to do any such things, but what if the examiner thinks no? So if we write like that, but the examiner thinks no, it should be protected, and many things has been not protected these days because of globalization, as you said. So will that affect the marks, because we
No,
are not?
It won't affect because the question setter would have given answer points. Supposing if you are writing no, it is not required to be there is no need, imminent need today. The question set would have given points to that. The examiner will check whether those points are there.
Okay.
Because the reasons what you're going to give is the same. And if you are going to say that, yes, if there is a need, then again, the reasons are going to be the same. So you don't have to be worried about it. Absolutely fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, one last question.
See, this is one important question. This is one important question that lingers in the minds of every candidate, particularly those candidates who are going for interview. Sir, can I criticize the government? You can. All that what the UPSC is. See, first of all, try to understand one thing very clearly. UPSC is recruiting officers, and for administration, which is a rational activity, they want thinking individuals who can understand things, who can adapt, who can learn. See, that is why they're asking you to choose a subject that may be totally unconnected to the graduation what you have done. Do you understand the point? See, they don't care about how much academically you're strong. You had been academically strong in your schools and universities. They don't care. Just pass is enough. I will give you questions. I will test you in a particular way. You get the point? So they want thinking people. If you are able to give different views differently, then absolutely fine. You are most welcome. You don't worry about it. Am I clear, Manish?
Excellent.
Yes. Can I ask one last question, please?
Manish, I'll have to give opportunity, but
All
quickly.
Okay, quickly, I will ask one last question. My last question was like, sometimes some questions comes like write in 200 words, 300 words. So what is the maximum, like when we are writing a question, I mean, when we are writing an answer for the question, we don't remember like how many words we have written. So what is the criteria the examiner tests whether he has written in, I mean, the examiner is not going to, count the words, right? So what is the, how can we limit ourselves, and what is the worst case of numbers of words that can be given for?
That's very simple. See, for UPSC, in the mains exam, UPSC gives you space limit. For a 10 marker question, they give you 2 pages.
Okay.
Generally, the space given in the UPSC paper, generally 100 to 120 words per page you can write. So that is where I told you, when it comes to, when you are with the mentor will help you to do that. So when you keep writing tests, this problem will automatically be settled. Your question will be automatically settled once you start preparing. I mean, once you start practicing answers, that will be settled.
Right.
Don't worry about that. Comes out of practice.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Manish. Excellent questions. I hope students please check every time a student asks a question and the interaction between the student and the faculty. You should check how am I looking at it this way and what can I apply into my preparation. And students, for those of you who are interested to take this optional preparation to the next level, especially with respect to public administration, you may please fill the form that we are typing in the group so that, I will be able to get in touch with you and help you take this preparation forward and counsel you to the right approach. Okay. So I hope the link is clear in the chat box. I'll go with the next question. Manoj Narayan, I'm unmuting you.
Hello.
Yeah, Manoj, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, my question for you is how to deal with the philosophy part of essay.
See, actually speaking, philosophy part of the essay is very simple to handle if you are well read and if you are with an analytical bent of mind.
I'm not good in reading books at all.
Then don't choose that. Very simple. See, I would suggest you.
But nowadays, what is the main thing is from past 2 years, most of the essay was given by philosophy only.
Yeah.
So what is your suggestion, sir?
Just a minute. I'm sharing my screen for your clarity.
Yeah.
See, this is the essay question asked in 2021.
Yeah, sir.
See, the real is rational, rational is real. Philosophy of wantlessness is utopian, while materialism is a chimera. And
Mhm.
that rocks the cradle rules the world. See, this is a very general thing. This is about the women.
Okay.
What is research but a blind date with knowledge? See, out of this, you don't go to this kind of questions where you'll have to, if you cannot, see, out of this eight, out of this four, which you think you will be able to answer? Manoj?
Sir, in my viewpoint, it is a first and second.
First and second, you can manage, right? You can write.
Yeah.
See, basically, let me tell you, why you choose the first and second, because you understand those statements, right?
Yeah, I can give the practical examples.
Very simple, right? You can give the practical example. Here also, you employ the keyword technique. Generally, when it comes to essay, attach, discuss, and examine. Right? You can attach, for instance,
Okay.
if we take this question, the process of self-discovery has now been technologically outsourced. Discuss. What do you mean by that? Discuss is multiple views, or you can say examine.
Yeah.
Whether it has
Yeah.
been outsourced or not, you can come to the conclusion. Based on that, you can plan and develop your points. You
Yeah.
get the point?
Yeah.
Your
Sure.
perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is an awareness of me. Discuss. You cannot examine this.
Yeah. Obviously.
Did you get the point? You just add the keyword, it will be easy for you.
Yeah. Descriptive. I can think like a descriptive things.
Exactly. That will solve your problem. That's all.
Yeah. Thank
But
you, sir.
generally, do philosophical essay. When you are not comfortable with philosophy, please don't choose.
Okay.
And first thing, let me tell you, first thing is whether it is philosophy or anything else. If you are able to understand the question, you are done. Well begun is half done. And a question that is understood is 25% already covered.
Okay.
Because if you understand the question itself will give you answers.
Okay. Sir, my second question was basically UPSC is fond of, favorite topics is Gandhiji's topic, Buddha's topic. What about if we don't like, if we anything write about Gandhiji in negative points, what about the aspect of how they correct our answers?
Not a problem. See, very simple. Is Gandhi relevant today? I can say no.
But most of the ethics part is about Gandhi itself.
See, Gandhi and ethics, there are questions like, say, there is a question ethics asked like Gandhi and ethics. The noble means cannot be achieved through ignoble means. What does this quotation mean to you in the present day context? This was a question asked.
Okay.
All right. So I can always say that this is an ideal. What I can say today is this is an ideal. As an individual in today's globalization era, which is market-based capitalistic economy, this ideal gives me to set my moral compass right. At the same time, I cannot employ it to my life at all circumstances. There are circumstances where I will have to employ the Kautilyan ethic of ends will justify the means.
Okay.
Right? I have to be practical. So what is wrong in it? For example, what does a mother do to make a child suffering from fever to take the medicine? She forces the medicine. Or how does a mother feed a child which is distracted, telling stories?
Yeah.
It is like diverting.
Yeah.
It is like, so can you apply Gandhian ethic here? So the mother is ignoble, the mother is unethical, no?
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you have to be pragmatic. So you can always write this, absolutely fine, no doubt about it. All right, yeah.
Great. Thank you,
Manoj. Excellent questions. So students, as you noticed that UPSC preparation, so to add on to a few words,
please.
That UPSC is not only about knowledge. Remember that the skills dominate more than the knowledge. Knowledge is to a particular extent, but it's about the way you practice the skill of answer writing and the way you present your answer that shapes your entire preparation. Right. Last question. Redmi Note. You have to rename yourself. I'm unmuting you. Please go ahead. You can please come on the screen, students. It will be a more interactive thing. Yeah.
Am I audible to you?
Yes. Please
Yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Very good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I just want to ask that I have opted geography last year. I have gave exam of prelims and I didn't clarify that. So now I plan to opt sociology, and
Okay.
I found it interesting. Like I have go through few thinkers also. So is my decision is right or wrong, or is 9 months is more than enough to prepare for this? And how can I find my abilities that yes, I am able to, you know,
See,
clarify this exam? Yeah, sir.
your choice is right. See, basically, if I were to give weightage to uh, interest of the candidate in respect of the options, the choice of the option, I would say 80% is the interest. If you are interested in sociology, go ahead with that. See, 9 months is more than enough if you are interested, and you will be able to cope with the subject. Supposing if you're not interested in geography, even 9 years, you may not be able to grasp it.
Yes, sir.
See, your interest and understanding are cyclically related. What you are interested in, you will understand better. And what you understand better, your interest will be improving, increasing. So don't
Okay,
worry
sir.
about it. But you have to check to yourself as to whether, see, while geography is a kind of a pseudoscience. Part of geography is concept and fact-based. Part of geography is analytical. For example, political geography is analytical. Human settlement geography and economic geography are partly analytical, whereas physical geography is factual. When it comes to sociology, the whole paper would be analytical. Are you a person with analytical bent of mind, or you want to go for memorizing part of it? That you have to check and go ahead. Otherwise, go with your interest. Absolutely fine.
Okay,
Sociology is
sir.
also a better, good optional subject. Nothing wrong about it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. So finally, if being an expert of public administration and having taught and enjoyed the subject for 23 years now, so what is your argument for the students that why PubAd is a great bet when it comes to UPSC exam? Sir, could you please throw light upon that?
Yeah, that's a
And
good
one more thing, students, sir has produced more than 900 plus officers to the country through his training in civil service preparation and optional subjects. Yes, sir, please.
See, basically, what is the advantage of public administration? Is number one, the subject is a very young subject. And the evolution of public administration discipline can be divided into two broad categories, from 1887 to 1970 and from 1970 to till date. So the real emergence of subject is from 1970. So the age of the subject is only 52 years. That's all. So the syllabus is very, very limited. That is point number one. Two, it is very current oriented. You will be looking around. See, public administration is everywhere. For example, if I teach scientific management theory, I would tell you, go to your kitchen, you can learn scientific management theory. What your mother does is scientific management. It will be very difficult very funny to understand, but that's a fact. Why is the kitchen table in India is not more than 4 feet? That's because of the average height of the woman or the man who cooks on the kitchen. So this is what you mean by scientific management. Right? Why is your study table in your schools? How do they determine how many teachers must be there for how many students? What is the teacher-student ratio? That is scientific management. How much should be the classroom size? Scientific management. How much should be the playground size? How many toilets should be there for how many students? That's again scientific. See, this all that what you see around is scientific, public administration. And so it will be very easy for you to understand, because the subject is taken from the practice and then it has been conceptualized. That is one. Second thing is, since it is current oriented, you don't have to, you won't be suffering from dearth of points. You will never suffer from dearth of points. You'll have a lot of points. And you get more points. It's very easy. And most important, it requires only once for you to study public administration. Once you studied the concepts and theories, it is done. And there is a very close relationship between paper 1 and paper 2. Somebody asked me, sir, can I quote Indian thinker in paper 1? You can quote, absolutely fine. And you can quote the first paper thinker and second paper, absolutely fine. So in public administration, this is an advantage. The syllabus is consolidated and limited. And third, this subject has a large bearing for your GS as well. When you study polity for your GS paper, the second paper of public administration is 60% is polity. It's based on constitution. So anyway, you're going to study constitution. Whether you take PubAd or not, you're going to study, even if you take economics as your optional, you are supposed to study constitution. So when you study constitution, and that what you study for GS is constituting around 40%, and with an add-on, 60% of the questions are from constitution based. So it is going to help you for GS also. Apart from that, if you go to paper 4 of the GS, you have something called as probity in governance. What do you mean by governance? It is public administration. Ethics in public administration. That's what you're going to study. So it covers ethics also. And whatever you're going to study as part of for your paper 2 GS governance part, again, it's fundamentally out there. And see, if you look at the syllabus of, I tell you the syllabus component. Go to unit 5 of public administration paper 1, accountability and control, and go to GS governance paper. The topics are overlapping: bureaucracy and development, citizen and administration, transparency, right to information, citizens charter, right? Development administration, women and development, bureaucracy and development, bureaucracy and democracy. These topics you are going to study for your GS anyway, whether you choose PubAd or not. So the syllabus of public administration is not only limited, but it has a large bearing on your GS paper as well. And it has been consistently a scoring optional. Consistently, people have been clearing with public administration. The success rate of public administration UPSC, according to UPSC's annual report, is hovering between the least was 8% and the most was 14%. Right? 8 out of 10 candidates, 8 out of 100 candidates with public administration clear. So its success rate is also better. That is why public administration is much better. And especially people who have done graduation in BCom general, right, management, or done BA political science, it's very easy. And you would have already read, it will be a cakewalk for you. So that is the reason why public administration is much better than any other optional, I would say.
Great, sir. Yes, sir. You want to have another point?
One more point is here the questions will be pointed and it won't be open-ended. Right? So though the questions are little, since the subject matter is very limited, if you go through, say again, let me share the screen to you and show you how the questions are. There are very similar questions. There will be one question for which one answer for which there will be multiple questions. Questions will be repeated. It's very, very easy to locate this. See, public administration is constantly being reinvented because it is contextual. Elaborate. 2019 question. The same answer. The answer for this, the answer points are the same. With the same points, you can answer these questions also. 98, 2011. There are 6 different questions for which answer points are same. So this is one major advantage of public administration, because once you read, the questions are repeated in different ways. That's why I'm telling you, public administration is much easier to study. As an option, it will be more scoring and more helpful in civil service exams. Is that clear, Suman? I think
yes, sir. Absolutely. So I hope students, you got adequate information to be able to make a conscious choice as to which optional to take. And sir, one more thing, students, if you could observe, and sir, the way the thought process of his works for every question that he constructs is answer writing. This is called answer writing. It's about internalizing the information, internalizing the concepts. And when you have conceptual clarity, you can see the concepts everywhere around you. Sir, I hope I have told them correctly about this.
Exactly.
So,
right.
Right. So students, for those who are interested to take your optional forward, the form is given here. Please fill the form so that I can reach out to you regarding the optional of public administration and we can take it forward. So with this, we have come to the end of the session. I hope we had a lot of value added. If anyone wants to share, what were your thoughts on the session and what takeaways you got? Anyone? Students, if you could raise your hand and share, it will be helpful to understand, what you were able to take home. And let me tell you, when you share, your transformation is more concrete. Can I have anyone who share your hands? Raise your hand and you can share. Feel free, your officers. What are your thoughts and other things? Okay, right. Yeah. Priyanka says it's a wonderful session. Yeah, okay, great. Not a problem. So thank you, sir. It was an amazing session. And it was a very insightful session where, you gave the real analytical viewpoint of the whole subject and the science behind scoring 300 plus as an optional. So thank you so much for your words of wisdom and for your elaborate experience of 23 years summed up into this short session and giving it to the students. Thank you so much. And thank you, students, for being a part of the session, and looking forward to see you all as toppers and we playing that small role in shaping your career to achieve your dreams. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you, students, and wish you all the very best. And thank you very much for the opportunity to share my views with you. Thank you all.
Thank you.